Our sermon text for today is Hebrews chapter 13, verse 5 from our epistle lesson. Keep your lives free from the love of money, and be content with what you have, because God said, neither will I leave you, and neither will I forsake you. So why do people love money so much? You ever thought about that? I mean, there are people who love to collect coins and money from different countries, and they put them in albums and they stay. It's not that they love the money, they love the collection of it and the artwork and all the graphics and the way they mint and print them. That's kind of cool. But there are people who actually love money. But they don't love just to hold and feel it. They don't love to smell it and taste it or something like that. They love money for what it can do for them. Right? Isn't that the struggle with the love of money? We're always thinking, if we just have a little bit more money, I can pay my bill. Or I can help my son or my daughter in school or something. If I just had a little bit more money, I could help this person. I could meet my needs some way. And then there's those who think, if I had a little more money than just my needs, I could go on a trip. I could enjoy I could go to the beach, you know. I could relax and have vacation in the mountains. That's what we say at the beach. We're going to the mountains. You know, stuff like that. Or I can go visit my relatives or something. I can get that new car. I can have a boat. And then, can you imagine what would happen if you won the lottery? What was it, 400 million at one time? Can you imagine if you won that lottery? What would you do with all that money? Well, you might help start some ministries. You might help set your kids up. You might take care of everything around you. You know, J. Paul Getty was asked once. Now, J. Paul Getty was the wealthiest man in the world in his time. And he was asked, how much money is enough? And his answer was, I don't know. All I know is I need a little more. We are not to have a love for money. Money is not the answer to all our problems. It never will be. It can help, but it's not the answer. If you live with a desire for more money, thinking money's going to meet your needs, if you just had a little more, you could pay this or help this person or do this thing, then you're going to look around and see somebody with more money than you and be envious of them. And you're going to live discontented life. Our text says, keep your life free from the love of money and be content with what you have. Be content with what you have. Now you may say, that's easy for you to say, but you don't know what I'm going through. You don't know how hard it is for me. How am I to be content in the midst of loss? When I lose someone I love? Or how am I to be content when someone betrays me or hurts me? How am I to be content with sickness, pains and aches and hurts? How am I to be content in poverty? Some say. How am I to be content lonely? Our text says, because God said, never will I leave you, never will I forsake you. Our contentment is not based on what's happening around us and to us. It's based on our relationship with God. Let's get real here. There is no way everybody's going to live such a contented life that we don't ever worry or feel any discomfort or wonder. It's only when in the midst of the struggle and difficulties and hardships of life that we turn to God that contentment comes, that we have a sense of refuge, a sense of strength in the midst of it. Money's not going to answer your problems, but God will. Through Jesus Christ, he'll meet you where you need to be meted. We will often say it's impossible. But God tells us all things are possible with him. I have watched God do the unusual, the impossible. I've heard people say, oh, that person will never come to faith, and God bring them to faith. We say, I'm too tired, I'm worn out, I'm emotionally drained. And God says, come to me and I'll give you rest. You don't have to try to control everything around you. You don't have to worry about every little detail. You can rest knowing that I will take care of you. We say, nobody really loves me. I'm alone. And God says, I love you. I love you. And my people care about you and will love you too as they get to know you. We sometimes say, I can't go on. I can't handle this anymore. I can't face it. And God says, my grace is sufficient. I'll get you through it. You can get through today, and I'll help you get through tomorrow, and I'll help you get through the next day, and I'll keep strengthening you as you turn to me. My grace is sufficient. We often say, I can't figure things out. God tells us he will direct our steps. He will guide us in the way we need to go. We often say, I can't do it. God says, you can do all things through me. As you turn and rest in me, I'll give you what you need to do. Maybe you're trying to do something you shouldn't be trying to do. I'll let you know you don't have to do that. Maybe you're trying to accomplish something that not important to accomplish for you. I'll help you know the limits. But if I ask you to do something, I will give you the power to do it. We often say, I'm not able. God says, I am able. We often say, I can't forgive myself. God says, I forgive you. You are forgiven in my Son, Jesus Christ. I forgive you. Come, receive that forgiveness. Though your sins be as scarlet, come, let us reason together, and I'll make them white as snow. I forgive you. Sometimes we say, I can't imagine how this will work out. And God says, I'll supply your needs. I'll get you through it. Sometimes we'll say, I'm so afraid. And God says, I have not given you the spirit of fear, but I am your refuge. I am your strength. Rest in me. We often say, I'm worried and frustrated. And he says, cast your cares upon me. We often say, I don't have enough faith. He says, I give everyone the measure of faith they need. I help you believe and trust. We often say, I'm not smart enough. He says, I'll give you wisdom. We often say, I'm all alone. No one's with me. And he says, I never leave you nor forsake you. I'm with you. We are not to love money and try to have money answer our problems. If we do, we'll end up working ourselves to death just to get a little bit more. We'll never have enough. We'll always be frustrated. And there will always be issues that money won't take care of, such as health issues that doctors can't work with, or emotional issues where you throw money after people who are dysfunctional and they won't straighten up. Loss. Only God Only God can help us get through these things. And God says, learn to be content with what you have because I'm with you. I will never leave you, and I never forsake you. We are to trust Jesus in the midst of our messy days. Our inner calm, our inner peace, our contentment is not based on what's going on around us. It's based on the presence of Jesus in our lives. You live in the world. We all do. And we have to put up with the things of the world. But in our innermost being, we should not be living in the world, but we should be living in eternity in God, His presence. When you feel stressed, you are to detach yourself from the circumstances and move yourself into the presence of God and tell Him why you're so stressed, what's on your mind, what you're feeling, what's going through. And He will reveal truth to you to calm you, to give you a peace. He is with you. Instead of desperately striving to control and maintain order around you, remember, you can relax in God. And the circumstances around you cannot touch that peace. That's why we can be sad but have contentment at the same time. Because we know that while we miss our loved ones, they're in heaven. Or while we're sick and going through hardship, that the body is only part of who we are. There's the relationships, there's the love and the companionship of others. When we're alone, we are not alone. God's people are there. All we got to do is ask. God's people care. That's one of the beautiful things about this congregation. We love each other. When we see a need, when we're told about need, we reach out to that need. Not all of us at one time, but as we're able to, we reach out. We organize, we plan, we care, we pray for, we support one another. I have been in congregations where it's just the opposite. They're at odds with each other. It's all about what they want, not what is healthy for others and how to bless others. We are truly blessed in this congregation with a heart of fellowship, a heart of care and compassion. We're never alone here, unless we choose to be alone, unless we isolate ourselves on purpose. We don't have to be alone. There are so many here who would visit and pray and encourage and support. When things seem to go all wrong, we are to stop and affirm our trust in Jesus again. I remember a time in my life where things came crashing down on me. It drove me to the point where I wondered, was this all real? And I said, yes, God's real. And I cried out to Him. I said, you got to get me through this. You got to help me understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. What's this all about? Why? And He says, you don't need to know why. I'll take care of you. I love you. I'm your Father. Hold my hand. Walk with me. And through a time of searching the Word diligently, a time of praying constantly, a time of letting go, and just crying out to God over and over again, the peace and the strength of the Lord lifted me up. When things all go wrong, it's our trust in Jesus that we must reaffirm and stand in. We are to calmly bring the matters that are driving us nuts to God. And he hears us. And he helps us. We're to stop asking him to change everybody else around us and ask him just to help us grow and develop through this. By staying in touch with Jesus, by constant, simple, trusting prayers, resting in the person of Jesus, his compassion, his care, his holiness, his love, we know that it will work all things for good. All things for good. So we don't love money. We learn to be content with what we have because we know our God is with us. Our God does not forsake us, but walks the journey with us.